Okay, so let's have a look at the second set of revision questions. Question 1. So this is doing a conversion. Here we got a volume. So we got a volume and we want to convert it into millimeters. What do we do? Make a choice and I will do my solution. So for here I've got 35 times 10 to the minus 6 here. So I know that 1000 millimeters equals 1 meter. What a lot of people forget is they don't have any issue about converting millimeters into meters, but it's when you start getting into areas and volumes and with stress that you also need to do meters to the power of 4. So if it becomes an area you need to convert, then it's going to be not 10 to the 3, but 1,000 times 1,000, which would be 10 to the 6. And for a volume, that would be 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000, which would be 10 to the 9. And then if you're doing a second moment of area, that would be 1 meter to the power 4, which would be 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000, which would be 10 to the 12. Okie dokie, so we are doing a volume here, so we can see the free. So if we've got this amount of meters, we're going to have an awful lot more millimeters. So one way to say it is to use one of these values. So in this particular case, you could use this equation here. And you could say well, millimeter divided by 1 meter will give me my conversion into millimeters. Right. So if I take this number here and multiply it by this thing here, because this is just 1. So if I take this and multiply it by this, I'm going to change my units here. So it's 35 times 10 to the minus 6 times 10 to the 9. And then your millimeters to the power 3 are being multiplied by millimeters to the power 3 divided by meters to the power 3. And you can see these two things cancel. And voila, we got our answer. So we got 35 times 10 to the 3. So that doesn't seem to match up directly with any of the answers there, but 10 to the 3 will give us 35,000. So it's this result here. So I would go for C. That was palaver. But what I wanted to do was to get to this sort of technique here for when you're doing conversions. Look at how your units are cancelling out with one another. Try and get a conversion factor where you're just getting this 1 and you're multiplying it by the number that you're trying to convert. And you shouldn't go wrong.